I find it's funny that as kids, we're asked the question a lot what we want to be when we grow up. And it's funny. I'm sure when we were all kids, we had no clue, no idea. We just made something up, right? Whatever. But it's funny that we asked them that. It's like, what do you want to be when you're 20 years from now? How the fuck are we supposed to know that? How about this? How about we ask ourselves, what do you want to be right now? What do you want for right now in your life? Forget about 10, 15 years from now. Because, let's face it, that's a long time. We can change, we can grow. And it's kind of ridiculous to think that we are always going to be the same, because we won't. Our perspectives, our goals, our desires can change, and that is beautiful. That is wonderful. So instead of focusing on this imaginary point, why don't we just focus on now? What do you want right now? What do you want for today? Even when you look at the past and what you wanted, it's probably different in some sense or another. It's funny, like when I was a kid, I would want, toys, or I would have wanted video games, or I would have wanted this or that, right? Nowadays, I think I'm a lot more simple. Like, I have a full fridge. I can cook it whatever I want. I can eat whatever I want. Financially stable. Like, I'm very satisfied with that. And it doesn't mean that, there aren't goals to have, because I definitely do have other things beyond, just that surviving or living comfortably. But I realize, like, in life, there are certain thresholds in the sense of once you're no longer struggling to survive, it's like, what then? Or if you never have to worry about money again, you're always going to be financially stable. Like, let's say you become a millionaire. You'll never have to worry about money, really. It's like there are certain thresholds in life that people are beyond, and life's just different for them. Things have different meanings. And I kind of question, what type of mindset those people who are beyond those thresholds are like. Are they out of touch with reality? Someone who has never had to worry about any financial thing in their life, how would they feel? What is their concept even of money? What are their goals? What are their desires? It's important to look beyond our frameworks and look beyond where we are to see what life would be like without certain limitations. What would you want if there were no financial restrictions? What do you want if there were no restrictions on what you could have? Period. What would you want for yourself? What would you want right now today? How would you like to live your day today, right now? And maybe you'll want to go on some grand adventure. Or maybe you just want a calm, relaxing day. And I think it all kind of depends just on where you are in life, internally, and as well as externally. And so as I sit here, I find myself observing the sense of pondering on desire. I think when we are able to see through the illusion of desire, oftentimes we realize without it, there is peace. That isn't to say that the desire doesn't exist. It just means that we're seeing through it. And so when you ask yourself, who am I without all the desires I have? Who am I before all this wanting? Your peace. Your peace. Without desire, there's no stress, there's no worry, there's no striving, grasping onto things. It doesn't make it bad. I think it's a normal thing. But it doesn't mean we have to carry it all the time. It doesn't mean we have to always hold on to desire. It too, like our emotions, can arise and subside. So I think it's about just letting it be. When you feel desire, feel it. When it falls away, let it fall. And there's this saying. It goes like this: the more you think, the less you have to think about but thoughts. And so, in a sense, all this thinking, all this pondering eventually seems pointless. And you just bring yourself back to silence. And the mind might want to start grasping at things to make us think that there's any problems. When in reality, we're just right here and right now.